Welcome to pharmacology class. Today we'll be discussing antiviral agents. Antiviral agents. Today we'll be discussing antiviral agents. So, antiviral agents. These are drugs that are used in the treatment of management of viral infection other than HIV infection. So these are drugs which are used in the management of virus infection other than the HIV infection. So in this topic, we are going to look at the two categories: cytomegalovirus and also herpes virus infection. So we're going to look at drugs used in the treatment of herpes virus infection, and also we're going to look at the cytomegalo infection. So we're going to look at the herpes virus infection. So there are two most common herpes pathogens: herpes simplex virus and also vector zoster virus. So herpes infection of the mouth and the lips and the eyes is generally associated with herpes simplex virus. Other areas of the skin can be infected, especially in immunodeficient clans or people. You can find herpes infection. Genital infection is more associated with herpes simple virus 2 and also herpes simple virus 1. So the genital infection is under the genitalia is infected with the viral infection. It can be herpes simple virus 2 or 1. Treatment of herpes simplex virus should start as early as possible, usually within 5 days of the appearance of any infection. It can be the genital infection or the lips infection, or it's the skin, the mouth infection, the eyes infection should start within 5 days of appearance of the infection. 5 days of the appearance of the infection. So, individuals with a good immune system, mild infection of the eyes and the infection of the lips is treated using topical antiviral drugs. Using topical antiviral drugs. Primary hepatic gingivitis is managed by changing diet with analgesics. So somebody has been a viral infection of the gums and the mouth is usually treated with change of diet and also analgesics. Severe infection, neonate herpes infection or infection in immunocompromised individuals requires treatment with systemic antiviral drugs. In severe acute infection or neonate herpes infection or infection in immunocompromised individuals require treatment with a systemic viral drug. So, primary or recurrent genital herpes complex infection is treated with individual drugs may given by mouth. Vector-zoster infection, regardless of immune function and the use of immunoglobulins, neonates with chickenpox should be treated with parental virus to reduce the risk of disease. Chickenpox is otherwise in healthy children between 1 to 12 months is usually mild, and viral treatment are not usually required. So when somebody has chickenpox, we're looking at vector-zoster infection, that's chickenpox infection. Chickenpox is more common in adolescents and adults than children, and viral treatment starts within 24 hours of the onset of the rash and may reduce the duration and severity of the symptoms in otherwise healthy adults and adolescents. So when somebody has chickenpox, you need to make sure that you start the treatment there and then after you just see in 24 hours after you see the symptoms of chickenpox. So antiviral treatment are generally recommended in immunocompromised patients and those in special needs. So those who have immunocompromised patients, you can give them antiviral treatment because they are because uh, because of the severe cardiovascular or respiratory disease or chronic skin disorders. In such cases, antiviral is given for 10 days within 7 days of parenteral treatment. Pregnant women who develop severe chickenpox may be at risk of complications, especially when there is vascular pneumonia. Specialized advice should be sought for treatment for chickenpox during pregnancy. When you are learning a center, you are a health post, a pregnant woman comes with chickenpox, you can refer them to the major hospital where they can be seen because it requires specialist treatment to avoid complications in pregnancy. And as we mentioned, if antiviral treatment is generally recommended in immunocompromised patients, and those are specialists. So those who have antiviral agents, those who are specialists, you can give them. Antiviral is given for 10 days within at least 7 days of parenteral treatment. So it's given for 7 days. So herpes zoster or shingles, systemic antiviral treatment that can reduce severity and duration of pain and reduce complications and also reduce viral staging. Treatment with antivirals should be started within 72 hours of onset of life and usually recommended for 7 to 10 days. So treatment of antiviral should be started within 7 days, 42 to 42 hours of the onset of life, and usually should continue for 7 days. Immunocompromised patients at risk of disseminating on viral infection should be treated with parenteral antiviral agents. So drug of choice is acyclovir. It's one of the drug of choice used in the treatment of one of the viral agent, acyclovir. We use it in herpes agents. Acyclovir sodium produces marked antiviral activities and inhibits cellular toxicity. So when somebody has an viral infection, acyclovir is the best drug of choice because it minimizes cellular toxicity, and the ganciclovir is another drug which is of good potency and is used against simple herpes simplex virus and megalovirus, cytomegalovirus. Indications of acyclovir. Indications of acyclovir is the most common drug in antiviral agents. Indication for acyclovir is used in treatment of herpes virus, including herpes simple 1 and herpes simple 2. And also it's used when somebody has Brussels zoster infection. That's we are talking about chickenpox. Oral and topical acyclovir can be used to treat primary or initiate genital herpes virus. And also, parenteral acyclovir is used to treatment initial severe genital infection with normal immune system. Parenteral acyclovir is also used to initiate type 1 and recurrent monocutaneous herpes zoster. So, parenteral acyclovir is used in treatment of dissemination of Brussels zoster in immunocompromised patients and viral infection used by Brussels zoster. Mode of action of the acyclovir. It disrupts viral replication. If somebody is given acyclovir, it's going to disrupt the viral replication because virus replicates at a faster rate. So what they will do is just inhibit the replication of, disrupt the replication of virus by inhibiting the virus-specific DNA polymerase, an enzyme necessary for viral growth. So what does it affect or disrupt the DNA of the virus, preventing the virus to replicate. side effects of acyclovir. We have local reaction at injection site. So there will be reaction at the site of injection. There will be leg pain because there will be leg pain. There will be reverse renal impairment. There will be reverse renal impairment. There will be headache. There's hematuria. There's impotent. There's hypotension. There's hypotension as well. Depression comes in, muscle cramps, insomnia. So it's important to give this medication every day. Bone marrow, hypoplasia, sore throat can be the side effects of acyclovir. Dose: primary genital herpes simplex virus. So somebody has a genital herpes simplex virus. You give adult, you give 200 to 800 milligrams per oral every 4 hours while awake, 5 times a day for 10 days. You can give 5 milligrams per kg bottle weight IV for 8 hours infusion in 1 liter for 5 to 7 days in patients with creatinine clearance greater than 50 mL per minute. Recurrent genital herpes virus, you give 200 to 800 milligrams per oral for 5 times in a day for 5 days. Bacillus zoster infection, we're talking about chickenpox, you can give 5 to 10 milligrams per kg bottle with IV for 8 days. And also herpes complex encephalitis, that's inflammation of the layer of the inflammation of the brain, inflammation of the brain, encephalitis. Herpes simplex encephalitis, inflammation indicates the brain. You can give 10 milligrams per kg bottle with IV for 8 hours infusion for 10 days. It is caused by herpes virus. Nursing application: monitor the patient periodically for adverse reaction and drug interaction during a cycle of therapy. Close monitor the patient for renal function, especially when serum creatinine levels. Also administer IV infusion for acyclovir. Infused preparation. Keep the patient before dehydrated during therapy to ensure good urine output. Avoid inhalation. Avoid inhalation or direct skin contact when the administration is. Notify the doctor if any adverse reaction or drug interaction occurs. Treatment of okay, we are done with acyclovir. Now we're going to look at treatment of cytomegalovirus. Treatment of cytomegalovirus. So you can give foscarnet. Indication is used to treat cytomegalovirus. Is used to treat cytomegalovirus like retinitis in patients with AIDS. When a patient has HIV and AIDS and they have inflammation of the retina, you can give this drug foscarnet, or dose based on the patient's renal function. So if renal function is functioning well, you can give this drug. You determine the dose depending on the function of the renal system. Mode of action: it also inhibits the replication of the DNA. So it prevents viral replication by selectively inhibiting the specific DNA which is responsible for replication of the virus. Side effects: we have fatigue, we have headache, we have seizures, we have depression, confusion, altered renal function, visual disturbances. Dose is 80 milligrams per kg body weight for 2 to 3 weeks, depending on clinical response. For maintenance dose is 50 to 120 per kg body weight. Nursing application: monitor the patient periodically for adverse reaction and drug interaction during foscarnet therapy. Close monitor the patient for renal function, especially when the serum creatinine levels. Also, do not administer foscarnet by IV or bolus because there's high plasma levels associated with toxic. So you don't give this drug IV. Don't give foscarnet IV. You don't give this drug IV. You don't give this drug IV. I've mentioned you don't give foscarnet IV. Don't give because of high plasma levels associated with toxicity. You don't give this drug. Don't say that I didn't mention. You don't give this drug. An infusion pump is recommended because motor cerium electrolyte levels because of transit changes may increase the risk of cardiac disturbances and seizure. Cause monitoring for signs and symptoms of infusion, such as fever, chills, cough, and fluid drainage. If the patient develops leukopenia, take infections control measures until the patient's blood vessel count returns to normal. Scan the patient's activity and provide frequent less periods for if anemia occurs. So those are the two drugs we've looked at. The major drugs we talked about acyclovir, and also we talked about foscarnet. And other drugs using antiviral treatment is these amantadine and also lamivudine, amantadine and also lamivudine. Thank you so much. For any questions, you can contact me. Today we are discussing antiviral agents. So it's important to understand these antiviral agents in pharmacology.